The 3 most unsettling old house horror tales for Halloween. I rented the place because it looked perfect for Halloween week. An old, forgotten house sitting at the very end of Willow Street in suburban Illinois. The photos online showed a wide porch, chipped paint, and a crooked wooden swing that seemed to move even when the wind wasn't blowing. It looked cinematic, like something out of a 70s horror film. The owner said he hadn't lived there in years but didn't mind renting it out for cheap. He mentioned that the neighborhood kids didn't come near it after dark. I laughed it off, thinking it was just small-town ghost talk meant to scare tourists. When I arrived, the entire street was alive with Halloween spirit-glowing pumpkins, fake spider webs, flickering orange lights. Every house looked like a magazine cover. Every house except mine. The porch light was dead. The lawn was overgrown. The swing creaked slowly, swaying on its own. I remember standing there, suitcase in hand, thinking it felt like stepping out of October and into November, like time had stopped at that address. Inside, the air was heavy and stale. Dust clung to the furniture, and the wallpaper peeled in places like the house was shedding its skin. The wooden floorboards groaned under each step. Still, something about the silence was strangely peaceful. I unpacked upstairs and chose the master bedroom, which overlooked the cul-de-sac. Through the cracked window blinds, I could see children running in costumes, their laughter echoing faintly through the night air. The distant life outside made the house feel even lonelier inside. By midnight, the neighborhood quieted down. The laughter faded. The music stopped. Only the occasional gust of wind rattled the windows. I sat in bed, scrolling on my phone, half asleep when I heard a slow drag across the hallway floor. At first, I told myself it was just the wood shifting. Old houses do that. But then came another step. Then another. Measured, deliberate, soft but close. The sound stopped just outside my bedroom door. I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling, the faint blue light from the street filtering through the blinds. My heart thudded painfully against my chest. I waited for the next sound, a creak, a whisper, anything, but there was only silence. Then, a breath. Faint. Just beyond the door. It was so close that I could feel the pressure of it, like someone was standing right on the other side, listening. I wanted to call out to say something, but the words wouldn't come. Every nerve in my body screamed for me to move, yet I couldn't. For nearly a minute, nothing happened. Then, the footsteps began again, slow and retreating, fading down the hallway until all I heard was the wind against the siding. I finally grabbed my flashlight and forced the door open. The beam of light cut through the darkness, illuminating the fake cobwebs I'd hung earlier. They swayed slightly, even though all the windows were closed. No one was there. Still, the air felt different now, colder, thicker, as if the house had exhaled something I couldn't see. When I went downstairs, one of the pumpkins I'd left on the porch was smashed to pieces. The others were gone completely. The decorations I'd put up earlier missing. Scattered. It looked like something had moved through the yard. I checked my phone, one motion alert. The hallway camera I'd set up earlier had detected something around 1:12 a.m. The clip showed the empty hall, the same one outside my door. Then, halfway through the recording, the screen flickered a single dim pulse of light as if something passed directly in front of the camera. I replayed it again and again. Nothing visible. Just that flicker. That brief distortion. I turned off the phone and sat in silence. I could hear the house breathing now, the faint pops of old wood, the hum of the walls. It felt alive in a way that no building should. When morning came, I almost laughed at myself. Sunlight poured through the windows and turned everything harmless again. But when I looked down the hallway, the cobwebs I'd hung had been ripped down completely. Bits of white webbing clung to the floorboards like something had brushed past them in the night. Outside, the smashed pumpkin was still there. The others had vanished completely. My neighbor, an elderly woman watering her plants across the street, looked up and waved. Didn't think anyone stayed in that house anymore, she said. When I asked what she meant, she hesitated, then added quietly, "No one's rented it since. What happened on Halloween, a few years back." Before I could ask more, she went back to her garden. The rest of the day, the words replayed in my head, what happened on Halloween. That night, I decided to leave a hallway light on just in case. The glow spread faintly through the cracks under my door as I lay in bed, trying not to imagine footsteps, flickers, or breath on the other side. But around midnight the bulb began to hum softly and then flicker, once, twice before plunging the hallway back into darkness. I stared at the ceiling, holding my breath again. And that's when I heard the slow drag of a footstep, starting all over again. The footsteps stopped again right outside my door. For a few seconds, there was only the sound of the wind pressing against the windows, followed by the faintest creak of wood, like weight shifting on the other side. I grabbed my flashlight, but my hands trembled too much to switch it on. The silence stretched until I thought my heartbeat would give me away. Then, the hallway light flickered back to life for half a second, and in that flash of pale orange glow, I saw something tall, faintly human-shaped, standing at the far end of the corridor. And then it was gone. I threw open the door. Nothing but cold air. Every step I took forward sounded too loud, as if the house was listening. I checked every room, guest room, bathroom, closet empty. The air felt thicker with each turn, a strange dampness clinging to my skin. When I reached the end of the hallway, the attic door above me shifted slightly, as if touched from the other side. For a moment, I thought I imagined it. Then came a single tap. Slow. Deliberate. Right above my head. I told myself not to look, not to open it. But curiosity in a quiet house is a dangerous thing. I found a chair in the corner, climbed up, and pushed the attic hatch open. A wave of cold air spilled down, carrying the smell of old insulation and something faintly metallic like rust. Or blood. My flashlight beam cut across boxes and dust-covered furniture. Nothing moved. I was about to shut the hatch when something shimmered near the back corner, a shape behind a beam, gone the moment I aimed at it. I held my breath, listening. Nothing. Just the faint sound of the wind through the walls. I lowered myself back down, heart hammering, and locked the hatch. That's when I noticed something new at the top of the stairs, a small orange pumpkin, perfectly carved, candle flickering inside. I hadn't brought any inside the house. My hands went numb. The candlelight flickered gently, as if reacting to me watching it. That night, I didn't sleep upstairs. I camped out on the couch with my phone recording the hallway. Every time I started to drift off, a faint tapping sound echoed from somewhere deeper in the house. At 1:12 a.m., the motion alert went off again. I grabbed my phone and stared at the live feed. The hallway looked empty, then the image stuttered. For half a second, the lens caught something tall at the far end, standing completely still. No face, no details, just a thin, human outline in the dark. When the picture cleared, it was gone. But the light kept flickering, slow, rhythmic, almost in sync with my pulse. Then came the sound of something dragging along the living room wall, like a wet hand brushing against paint. I aimed my flashlight toward the noise. The beam trembled across the wall until it caught something that made my stomach drop. Fingerprints. Fresh, smeared into the dust. I backed away slowly, my breath visible in the cold air. The heater hadn't turned off, yet the temperature was dropping by the second. A sudden thud echoed from upstairs. Then another. Each one heavier than the last, like footsteps moving fast across the floorboards. I ran to the front door, but it wouldn't open. The lock turned, but the door felt sealed shut. The knob burned cold in my hand, almost freezing. I stumbled back, shouting for anyone outside to hear, but the entire neighborhood was dead quiet. Even the porch lights across the street were off. Another sound behind me, footsteps descending the stairs, slow and careful. I turned the flashlight toward the steps. At first, there was nothing. Then, one foot appeared. Bare, gray, and silent. Then another. The figure that stepped into view was tall, far too tall, and thin to the point of wrongness. Its head brushed the ceiling. The face wasn't a face at all, just a blur, like static distortion from an old TV. I froze. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. It stopped halfway down the stairs and tilted its head slightly, as if curious. Then, with a slow motion, It raised one hand, long fingers reaching toward the railing. The air grew heavier. The candle inside the hallway pumpkin flared bright, then went out. Darkness swallowed everything. When the lights flickered back on, the figure was gone. The only thing left was a small candy wrapper lying on the last step, crumpled neatly, as though placed there on purpose. By the time dawn broke, I was already in my car, shaking, staring at that house through the windshield. Every window was dark again, every curtain drawn. The swing on the porch moved in the still air, slow and deliberate. I left without locking the door. I didn't care. But later, when I checked my phone at a gas station, the hallway camera was still live. I opened it. The feed showed the empty hall for a few seconds, then glitched. A tall shadow stepped into the frame and turned toward the camera, its outline bending slightly, like it was smiling. That was 2 years ago. Last night, my phone buzzed with a notification: motion detected, 1:12 a.m. Willow Street. And I haven't been back since.